We're going to be doing buttons and buttonholes, and what we're going to do is we're going to take two 8x8" squares. First thing you're going to do is you're going to fold these in half, so it's going to look like the front of a shirt. And remember, for women's shirts, it goes right over left, buttonholes on top, buttons on the bottom, just like you're saying Pledge of Allegiance. Men's shirts go right over left, the opposite. So it doesn't matter which direction we're going to do this. Remember that the buttonholes are always going to start at the bottom of the fabric, and we want to put in 3 buttonholes evenly spaced. So what we're going to do is we're going to start first, and we're going to put a pin at the bottom. From there, we're going to measure where our next buttonhole will go. And we're going to make these be about 2 inches apart. So we measure from the bottom of the first buttonhole to the bottom of the second. And we'll put a pin in there. And then we're going to measure from that buttonhole, the bottom, to the bottom of the third buttonhole. Put a pin in there. You're going to take out your buttonhole foot, and there's 3 things you have to think about with this. First one, we're going to put the button in that we're going to be making the buttonhole with. We're going to remove this foot, and we're going to attach this so that we can read the writing that's on the foot. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this thread, and it's better if we put it in through this opening of the buttonhole foot. Makes it easier for your buttonholes to be done. Second thing that we're going to do is in the back of your machine, you have a bar, and you have to bring this down. And it says push with an arrow and a buttonhole design. You want to bring that all the way down so the white part of the foot is resting up against it. Third thing, go over to your machine, go to 0, and that's the buttonhole design. We're going to take our piece of fabric, we're going to line up our needle right where the pin is, and line up the edge of the buttonhole foot with the edge of the fabric. And pull out your pin. We're going to let our machine do the work. So all we're going to do is just sit here. It's going to bar tack across the bottom, bar tack up the left side. It's going to go across, straight down stitching, bar tack across the bottom. It's going to go back up the right side, bar tacking it, bar tack across the top. And there's your buttonhole. You're going to do 3 of these. So where your next pin is, which mine fell out, we would put this next one in right at this point here. Same setup. Line up the buttonhole foot, the needle going where the pin is, edge of the foot, edge of the fabric. Complete that one and do your third one. Once you've completed the buttonhole, we're going to cut this open by folding it in half. Be very careful that you only use the tips of your scissors. Don't go like this, because you might slice through the entire thing. And we're going to go back, and we're just going to cut this to where the stitching is. Then you're going to set this up to sew on your buttons. And when you sew on your buttons, we're going to line this up. And it doesn't matter how much you overlap, because we're going to adjust that with our measurement of the machine. We're going to take our pin, and we're going to put a pin directly in the middle of each of our 3 buttonholes. You're going to remove this out, kind of caught, and just run that across. Then what we're going to do is 3 things again. Number 1, you're going to push this bar out of the way and remove the foot. Take out our button that we're going to use. Number 2, You're going to go to the back of your machine and you're going to lower your feed dogs. So you're going to move those to the right. That way your machine's not going to move. And number 3, you're going to go over to your machine and you're going to press number 9, which is the buttonhole, or the button. We're going to come back to this, and we turn it this direction. Edge of your fabric lines up with the 5/8, and your pin lines up with your button, right in the middle. Once you have that in position, you're going to put your foot down. Pull out your pin. You might have to adjust this a little bit. The needle's going to go first into the left, top left corner. Do this by hand, turning your hand wheel towards you. Make sure that it clears, going over to the other hole. Once it clears, you can run your foot pedal. And it will go across, it'll go 3 times up and down, make its knot and stop. You're going to then move this ahead to the other 2 holes. Again, start it by hand. Left side to the right. Go ahead and use your foot pedal. Stitch that across, up and down. It will go 3 times and stop. And your button is done. And once you've got that done, you can cut your threads and your button should work in your buttonhole. Oops. You can just button that up and put it in your booklet.